Hello, hi, a very good afternoon. So this is Krishnaveni and we've been talking about the story of life on earth, that's biology. So thank you so much for joining my session today. So Miracle Boy, hi, hello, so very good afternoon. So you're well before time today. Yes, Anthony, so you're back, so very good afternoon. So how are you feeling? Good, great? Yes? So you're completely fine? You came back from hospital? Yes? Things are good? Okay, so for all those who are new to my session, so Monday, Wednesday and Friday I teach for class 12, and for the remaining 3 days, that is Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, I teach for class 11. Yes, Vinu, Vinayak, a very good afternoon. So thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. Yes, so we are in lecture 4 of ecosystem. So let's see if we can finish the chapter. If not, so then give me one more lecture to finish this chapter. Alright, so do you remember what we were talking about in the last 3 lectures? So all those who have not watched my previous lecture live, so did you see my recorded video? Yes? Excuse me. Okay, so we are in lecture 4 of your ecosystem. Ready to go? Yes? So what were we talking about in ecosystem? Do you remember? So let's make this lecture pretty short and crisp, okay? So I just want to talk to you about ecological succession today. So before that we were done. So we were talking about productivity, decomposition, energy flow, pyramids, ecological pyramids. So till that we are done. So we are about to start your ecological succession today. So what is ecological succession? So if it's a bare land, so who came first? Which living organism came first? So that is what we are going to talk about. All right? Yes? Fine. So this is the subtopics that we're talking about, what the ecosystem has to tell us. Fine. So ecosystem has a structure and function. So ecosystem has to, for an ecosystem to be functional, the structure and function should be properly maintained, right? And then the first thing that we spoke about was productivity. So who are the primary producers? I guess no doubt it is your plants, right? Then it is your decomposition. So decomposition is the second most important step, and only if there is decomposition, so the energy remains in circulation. Otherwise, energy gets trapped at a particular point. Then we are talking about your energy flow. So how energy flows through the trophic system. So for example, if you have a producer, so from a producer, how it moves on to a consumer, then to the secondary consumer, then to the tertiary consumer. If that organism is dead, how that energy comes back into circulation. So we spoke about the different types of food chains, if you remember, right? Yes, so under productivity we spoke about 2 terms, if you remember. So do you remember those 2 terms? So what are those 2 terms? Yes. So we spoke about your gross primary productivity and your net primary productivity. So these are the 2 important terms that we are talking about. So what is gross primary productivity? So gross primary productivity is the amount of energy obtained by the photosynthesis as such. That is your gross primary productivity. So that is in case of your plants, okay? Then it is your net primary productivity. So net primary productivity is the energy that is available to your consumers. So whatever the producer obtains, that is your gross primary productivity. So your plants also take up some energy for the process of respiration. So whatever is remaining, it is called as net primary productivity. Yes, clear? Is this much clear to everyone? That is what we are talking about, your productivity. Then in decomposition, we were talking about 5 different steps. So can you quickly tell me the 5 different steps under decomposition? Yes. So first thing that we're talking about is fragmentation. When your detritus is being broken down by your microorganisms, so that is fragmentation. The next one is catabolism. Then number 3 is catabolism. So number 2 is leaching. 4 is humification. And the last one is mineralization. Yes, so these were the 5 different steps that we were talking under your process of decomposition. Then in energy flow, we spoke about your 2 food chain. One is your grazing food chain. The other one is your detritus food chain. So here the important point to be noted is that on a terrestrial ecosystem, so by now I assume you people understand what is a terrestrial ecosystem and what is an aquatic ecosystem. Yes, no doubt in that. Okay. So in a terrestrial ecosystem, maximum energy comes from your detritus food chain. In case of your aquatic food chain, maximum energy flows from your grazing food chain. Alright, yes, is this much clear? Alright, yes, there will be Menti tomorrow, but I'll let you know. So if Menti is there, it will be in cockroach. Fine, just give me a minute. Okay, so that is the thing that we were talking about, your energy flow. Yes, regarding Menti, if Menti is there, we'll have it in the topic cockroach. So get prepared. Even if Menti is there tomorrow, day after tomorrow, it will be in cockroach. So first prepare for cockroach. Okay, so then we'll go ahead. And if there is Menti tomorrow, it will be at 6:30 p.m. Right? Yes. So that is the thing about energy flow. And apart from that, we also spoke about the 10% law, if you remember. Yes. So plants, which are the primary producers, when they pass on the energy to the consumers, so how does energy flow? Only 10% of the energy flows from one tropic level to the next tropic level. If I say here I have an energy of 10,000 joules, so how much energy will go here? Only 10% of it. So you'll have only 1,000 joules of energy that is getting transferred to each tropic level. Alright? Yes. So then we went on to talk about your ecological pyramids. Yes, and today we'll be talking about your ecological succession. So then we have 2 subtopics, that is nutrient cycling and ecosystem services. So which, if time permits, we'll finish today, we'll talk about. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and talk about in the next class. Fine. So here we are. So energy flow also I have a picture. So number of tropic levels in the GFC. So this is the 10% law that I was talking about. Yes. So it is restricted as the transfer of energy follows only 10% law. Okay. So only 10% of the energy is transferred to each tropic level from the lower tropic level. See, so this is a simple food chain. Yes. So you have your primary producers, primary consumer, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and finally you have the decomposers as well. So everywhere the energy flows 10%. Okay. Yes, so Satyendra Kumar, hi, hello, oh, very good afternoon. So thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. Okay, so next we were talking about your ecological pyramids. So GFC means, okay, so GFC stands for grazing food chain. Okay, so since you were not there for the class, you might not know, GFC stands for grazing food chain. And DFC stands for detritus food chain. Okay, Anthony Abhi, now you got it? Yes? Yes, already subscribed. Okay, so thank you so much. For all the others who are new, who are watching my video for the first time, please at the end of the lecture, if you understand something, so please do like, share and subscribe. Okay? Yes? Okay, so here we go. So this is about DFC and GFC, Anthony. Okay, so now we're talking about ecological pyramid. So this was the structure of a pyramid. Yes. So how is the pyramid? So the pyramid, the base is broad and the apex is narrow. So this is called as apex. Okay, so a similar shape is found, a similar shape arises when we express food or energy relationship between an organism at different trophic levels. Okay, so relationship is expressed in terms of number, biomass or energy. So what do I mean? So we have three types. So this is an ecological pyramid. For example, producers occupy the base, which is very broad. Then you have your primary consumers, then secondary, then tertiary. So compared to the number of animals, the number of plants are high, number of autotrophs are high. Yes, the one who produces food. So this is an apex, so this is a pyramid. So it is becoming narrow towards the top, right? Yes. Okay, so the base of the pyramid represents the producers and the apex represents the top level consumers. Then there are three types of pyramids like this which are studied. So number one, it is the pyramid of number, number two, pyramid of biomass, and number three, pyramid of energy. Okay, so when I take the number of producers, number of consumers and plot a pyramid, that is my pyramid of number. When I talk about the energy that is present in each trophic level, that is the pyramid of energy. Okay, then pyramid of biomass, the amount of energy produced by the living component at that particular point in time. So see, this is pyramid of energy. So the primary producers are so and so. Yes, then primary producers, primary consumers, secondary and tertiary. All right, yes. Yes, yes, I know. Yes, you are my old student. You have just changed the icon. Yes, I found that. Okay, you're telling me you have already subscribed, you already liked, so I told you. Okay, so it just comes out simultaneously, so spontaneously. So if someone new is there, so I'm asking them to like, share and subscribe. Yes, I know you are my old students, so don't worry. Okay, so this is pyramid of numbers. So based on the number of producers I have, number of consumers I have, I am plotting a pyramid. All right. So pyramid of biomass, so it is basically based on the dry weight. So I told you what is dry weight, what is wet weight, right? So dry weight is when you evaporate the water in a living tissue and take a weight, that is dry weight. So wet weight is in the presence of water. So based on the dry weight that is present, so what is the food chain? So sorry, what is the pyramid? So it is again a upright pyramid. Okay, yes. Then pyramid of energy, in terms of energy, so I told you it follows your 10% law, only 10% of the energy flows. Yes, now is this clear? This is pyramid of energy. All right. Okay, so there is one inverted pyramid. So when can inverted pyramid occur? So in case of your aquatic ecosystem, so the number of primary producers. So in case of your aquatic ecosystem, the primary producers are your phytoplanktons, right? So the number of phytoplanktons is really less, but the number of small fishes that is feeding on these phytoplanktons are large in number. So that is why here you are having an inverted pyramid. So understand, this is only in terms of number, but in terms of energy, you can never have an inverted pyramid. You always have an upright pyramid. All right. Yes, so any calculation of energy content, be it biomass or number, it includes all the organisms at the trophic level. If I am saying it is a pyramid of number, then I will take the number of all organisms in that trophic level. For example, if I say producers, of course producers are plants, but apart from that, I have photosynthetic bacteria as well who can act as autotroph. So their numbers also I will be counting when I am taking into account the ecological pyramid. So a given organism can occupy more than one trophic level simultaneously. For example, when a bird feeds on a seed, it's becoming a primary consumer, but the same bird, when it feeds on an insect, it is becoming a secondary consumer, right? So a same organism is occupying two different trophic levels in an ecosystem. Yes. So trophic level represents a functional level. So given species occupy more than one tropical level in the same ecosystem at the same time. So a sparrow is a primary consumer as well as a secondary consumer. So you should take into account all the organisms at a given tropical level, be it if the same organism occupies the same tropic level twice. It does not matter, but you have to take into account all the organisms at a given tropic level. Okay. So all pyramids, so pyramid of number, energy and biomass are upright. So ideally all pyramids are upright except one pyramid that we saw where the number of phytoplanktons is lesser number compared to your primary consumers. So always your producers are more in number and of course biomass. Okay, so energy at the lower tropic level is always more than at the higher tropic level. So if I draw a pyramid like this, so at the base I have my producer. So obviously my producer will have more amount of energy. Yes, so energy at the lower tropic level is always higher than or more than at the higher tropic level. So a pyramid of biomass. Okay, so pyramid of biomass in sea is generally inverted because the biomass of fishes far exceeds that of your phytoplanktons. So a pyramid of energy is always upright, it cannot be inverted. Why? Why is this? Yes, Mamta, a very happy good afternoon. So thank you so much for joining my session. So Mamta, have you subscribed my channel? So do you like my way of teaching? Yes. Hello Superfast Needs. So after a pretty long time you are here. So nice, thank you so much. So it's great having you here. So Superfast Need, please do like and share the link. Okay? Yes, fine. So why cannot the pyramid of energy be inverted? So this is a normal pyramid. So why cannot it be inverted like this? Because what I told you, so energy is always higher at the lower tropic level. So energy is higher here. So as it goes up, energy reduces. So if it's in the reverse order, it is not possible, right? So always your pyramid of energy is upright and it can never be inverted because your lower tropic level, that is your producers, have the maximum amount of energy. Fine? Okay. So you're super fast, Neet and Mamta. So we are recollecting our last lecture. So we were talking about ecological pyramids. So that is what I'm doing. So I'm giving a quick recap to everyone. So today's topic is ecological succession. So we will talk about that. All right? Yes? So energy flows from a particular tropic to the next tropic level and some energy is always lost as heat at each step. So though from primary producers to primary consumers, only 10% energy is being passed. Yes, the remaining is being lost as heat. Fine, the remaining is being lost as heat. So each bar in the energy pyramid indicates the amount of energy present at each tropic level. So if we go back to the pyramid structures, so this bar, yes, so this represents the energy present in this tropic level. So this is what the last statement means. All right, yes. Done? Okay. So, just like every coin has two sides, even ecological pyramids, though they were helpful for us in studying a particular tropic level, a particular ecosystem, there are also some limitations which talks about your ecological pyramids. Certain things are not considered when we talk about your ecological pyramid. For example, it does not take into account the same species belonging to two or more tropic level. So the same ecological pyramid set or same organism occupies more than one tropic level, but it counts the organism in only one tropic level. For example, if it has counted sparrow as a primary consumer, the same ecological pyramid does not count sparrow as a secondary consumer. So that is the biggest drawback in case of your ecological pyramid. So it assumes a simple food chain which never exists in nature. So what is a simple food chain? You have a grass, grass is eaten by goat and goat is eaten by man. So this is a simple food chain. But in nature, such a simple food chain does not exist, right? You have grass, grass eaten by caterpillar, so caterpillar then is being eaten by a bird, your bird is eaten by a snake, and snake by some other carnivore, and finally it is being decomposed. So always a food chain in nature is complex, it is never simple. So but your ecological pyramid assumes a very simple food chain, okay. So it does not accommodate a food web. So what is a food web? Interconnection of food chains is called as a food web. Yes. So for example, a particular organism can occupy more than one trophic level. For example, here your sparrow occupies your primary consumer as well, secondary consumer as well. So there is an interconnection between the two food chains, right? So that is a food web. So that is not taken into account here. Sorry. So saprophytes, so who are saprophytes? Organisms which feed on dead organic matter, so they are your saprophytes. So saprophytes are not given any place in the ecological pyramids. So we started off with your producers, then we went on to talk about your tertiary consumers. But where are decomposers? Where are detritivores? They are very important. So without the process of decomposition, the entire ecological unit would collapse, right? So then where is the position of your decomposers here? So your decomposers have not been given a role in your ecological pyramid, okay. Yes, thank you so much, Anthony Abhi. It's okay, fine. So now we are moving into a new concept, that is ecological succession. So as of ecosystem, so I first defined what is an ecosystem. So what are the different components of an ecosystem that is needed to make the ecosystem functional. So then we spoke about your productivity. Yes, under productivity I told you two definitions. Then we spoke about decomposition. So we had 5 different steps in your decomposition. After decomposition we were talking about your energy flow. So under energy flow we had your food chain, GFC and DFC. We also spoke about the 10% law. Then we went into ecological pyramids. So I told you what are the different types of ecological pyramids. So what can be inverted, what cannot be inverted. Then we also finally spoke about the limitations of an ecological pyramid. So much so far I have covered. Now I am entering into a new topic known as ecological succession. So what is this ecological succession? So we are just left with 3 more topics. One is ecological succession, that we'll be discussing now. So what else is left is your nutrient cycling and your ecosystem services. So what services does an ecosystem give us? So what is the fruit that we are obtaining if an ecosystem is completely functional without any halt? All right, yes. Yes, Preeti Dubey, hello, hi. So thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. So when will I take a mentee? Okay, so I will take a mentee tomorrow hopefully, but I'll let you know in tomorrow's class at 3 p.m. or if you find my thumbnail before that. So if you have subscribed and if you find my thumbnail before that, well and good. But if there is a mentee, we'll have the mentee in cockroach. All right, yes. So I will also take one mentee in your genetics, because after the revision of pedigree analysis, I haven't taken a mentee. So I will take a mentee only on pedigree analysis once, okay. And still people want me to revise evolution. So once I will revise evolution, again I will take a quiz on evolution, okay. So I'm thinking after ecosystem that I will revise evolution in between and then go back to biodiversity and conservation. Is that fine with everyone? If it's fine, do let me know. Otherwise I will go with the next chapter after I finish ecosystem, because someone in my previous class, I guess on Saturday, told me, ma'am, please take evolution as well. Evolution has already been taught, but it will be a revision, okay. Yes, so mostly yes, tomorrow we might be having a mentee. So mentee will be in your cockroach at 6:30 p.m. So as usual, we'll play for 15 questions, 20 seconds each. Fine? Yes. Okay, so done. So here we go into the new topic, that is ecological succession. So what is this ecological succession? Okay, complete plant physiology. Also the problem is I haven't taught plant physiology here, so before teaching I cannot take a mentee. So that is the protocol that I follow. I teach a chapter, then I have a mentee. But plant physiology I have not started, because right now I am doing human physiology in class 11. So once I finish human physiology, then I'll take the entire quiz of human physiology together. Individual ones also I'll take. Okay, so don't worry. So this week you might have 2 mentees. So one in cockroach, the other one we'll have it in your your genetics, and if time permits, I will take one more mentee from digestion and absorption, because in YouTube we are done with digestion as well, we are done with breathing and exchange as well, right? So I will see if I can take a mentee on 3 days. If it's possible, then we'll have 3 mentee, and I told you the chapters. So tomorrow it will be cockroach, then if I take another mentee, it will be from genetics, and if I take one more mentee this week or on Sunday, it will be from your digestion and absorption. Alright, yes. Okay, so thank you Antonia B. So you're giving me full support, so great, thank you so much. Okay, so as such, from the topics that I've already taught, so by now you must have an idea of the topics that I have taught in YouTube. So do you have any problem in these topics? So should I repeat any particular concept? So if that is the case, so please do let me know. So before I move on to a new chapter, I will finish off the doubts that you have in the already taught chapters. So as of class 11, I haven't started your plant physiology is pending and biomolecules is pending. So all other chapters we have covered. So talking about your class 12, so right now we are doing the chapter 2 of ecology, but otherwise we are done with the entire class 12 except for reproduction. So we are done with your genetics, we are done with your biotechnology, we are done with your microbes department. So all that is done. But if you have any doubt in the already taught chapters, do let me know, so we can have a session called as open doubt session, so that whichever topics I have covered and you want me to teach here, you can put it in the chat box so that I will revise once again. Okay, so that can be done. So you want a revision in anatomy too. Okay, fine. Yes, any other topics that you find difficult, so you do let me know. So if the number of topics are very large, so then I will take up a separate session for that. Okay, so right now if I am teaching some concept and if I am done, and next thing if you put it up in the chat box, ma'am, teach us simplest and uppermost mode of transport, yes, then that I can teach you, something like that. So teach us the mechanism of concentration of filtrate, yes, some concept which I've already taught, but you want me to explain again, yes, I'm ready to do so, but it depends, a suggestion, if there are only 2 topics, then it will be tough because I cannot spend 1 hour on 2 topics, yes, but if you guys have a consolidated set of chapters, consolidated set of topics that you have doubts, then yes, one hour will be fruitful, okay. So you want an open doubt session. Okay, fine. So I will do like this. So one hour open doubt session for class 11 and a separate day for class 12, because if I clump both, then it will be so chaotic, because 11th itself you have a lot of confusing chapters. So yes, okay. So thank you for your suggestion, Preeti Dubey. So I'll have an open doubt session for class 11 one day and class 12 the other day. So whatever doubts you have, whichever topics you want me to revise, you can ask. So but I won't have my slides, because I won't know which chapter you're asking, so it's not possible for me to bring all my slides, right? So I will just explain it to you on the simple whiteboard, okay? Yes, maybe I can get important questions, for 10 important questions from your entire class 11, that much I can do, but I will not have my slides, okay? Is that fine? Then I will go ahead with it, but I'll let you know when we are having that open doubt session. But before that, yes, quiz we will have, so don't worry. So there will be a quiz, but time I will let you know, but your duty is to start studying. It's cockroach, so prepare well for cockroach. Done? Okay, so thank you, Preeti Dubey. Yes, now we are entering into ecological succession. So what is this ecological succession? So the important feature in a community is that the composition and structure, they constantly change due to the environmental condition. Yes, so if I am talking about a particular community, say for example your street was not the same as that when it was 10 years before, right? Yes, so today there are a lot of changes in your street right now, because you have so much of development, your lifestyle has changed, etc. But everywhere, even I talk about a community, so a group of individuals, a group of population make up a community. So a community is constantly undergoing changes both structurally and composition wise. For example, if I take the population in your area, it is not always constant. So you might have some new addition of kids, you might have deletion of people who are dead, right? So the composition and structure constantly changes, and one important reason can be your environmental conditions as well. Okay, so this change that it is undergoing, so this change is very, very orderly and it is sequential. Okay, and it is parallel with the changes in the physical environment. So once again, So the community, so each ecosystem undergoes changes, okay, due to the changes in the environmental condition. So this change that it has is sequential and orderly, and it is parallel with the physical environment. Okay, yes. So changes in a community reaches near equilibrium with the environment, then is called as climax community. So changes in a particular community has to reach equilibrium with the environment. For example, a community is a group of population is a community. So of course a community is dependent on the environment. So an individual organism is also dependent on a environment. A community is also dependent on your environment, right? So changes in a community, they are in equilibrium only when they have equilibrium with the environment, right? Yes, so the changes in a community. So a community is there, it is undergoing change, right? So this change is orderly and sequential, fine. So the changes in a community, they come to equilibrium with the environment, then that condition is called as climax community. Okay, so climax community is a stable community, you can say. So when you have a change and the change is also being accepted and it is in equilibrium with the environment, so that is called as a climax community. Fine, yes. Okay, so gradual and fairly predictable changes in your species composition of a given area is called as ecological succession. So gradual and fairly predictable change. For example, over time the number of species in your area also changes, right? I am talking about dogs, so you might have a different shaped eared dog, right? So slowly the population of that dog increases, the other dog dies out. So this fairly and predictable change is called as ecological succession. So you can physically observe the change, so that is called as an ecological succession. So some species colonize an area and the population increases. For example, suddenly you might see monkeys coming to your area, yes, and the amount of monkeys is so high, suddenly they begin to colonize an area. Population of other species decline and even disappear. Suddenly cats stop coming to an area and they can even decline, right? So both these cases are possible. So the entire sequence of community that successively change in a given area is called as a seed. Okay, so the entire sequence of community that successively change in a given area is called as a seed. Okay, so we know a community is constantly changing. So when the entire community changes in a given area, so the successive change, so one after the other, a community is having a change. So that sequential change is called as a seed. Okay, so the individual transitional communities are called as seral stages or as seral communities. Fine. So in a successive seral state, change in diversity of species of organism, increase in the number of species and organisms plus the total increase in biomass are considered together. So once again, what is a seed? So I told you a community constantly undergoes changes, right? And it becomes a climax community when it reaches the equilibrium. So in that entire process, some species can colonize an area and the population increases. Some species, the population completely declines and they might even disappear, right? So this entire sequence of community that successively changes is called as a seed. Okay, yes. So the individual transitional communities, for example, if the population of monkeys is increasing, if the population of cats is decreasing, so that transitional community is called as a seral stage or a seral community. Fine. Then, so in successive seral stages, the change in diversity of the species organism, the increase in the number of species and organism, then the increase in the total biomass also plays a role. For example, I told you suddenly you have the colonization of monkeys in your area and the population of monkey increases. Okay, so change in the diversity of species of the organism. So do we have a diverse variety of monkey? So what is the total increase in the number of species? So how many species you have? So how many organisms you have in total? And what is the biomass? So all that decides an ecological succession. Fine. So present day communities in the world. So the community that you have right now, for example, in an area you might have rats, dogs, cats, cows, goats, etc. So these are the result of succession that has occurred millions of years ago, right? Yes, so your land has been formed millions of years ago. So what you see today, the community that you have today has undergone succession over a long period of time, right? Yes. Yes, so there is both increase and decrease. So that is called as transitional community. So transitional means the one that is tend to change. That is called as transitional. Fine? Yes. So the present day communities in the world, yes, this is the succession that has occurred millions of years ago. So understand, for the process of ecological succession, so it takes several thousand years. It does not happen overnight. So succession and evolution are parallel process at that time. So if you say evolution, so along with evolution you also had succession happening. Fine? See, initially there was nothing, then you had some grasslands, then grasslands were overruled, then you had shrubs, then shrubs became less in population, then you had forest. Then, so the young forest grew so violent and wild, it became a mature forest, right? So slowly one group of population is declining and one group of population is colonizing, right? So this is called as an ecological succession. Done? Fine. So the succession process starts in an area where there are no living organism. So when I mean ecological succession, so initially, so first in this area, so you should have heard your grandparents say, so when we came here back to the city some 50 years before, so everything was barren land, there were no buildings. Now look how many buildings you have. Yes, so grandparents used to say that, right? So the bare land, then how did it become an ecosystem? So a bare land to become an ecosystem, into a fully developed ecosystem, it takes time, right? Overnight you will not have the soil layer forming. The soil layer formation takes many number of layers. So before actually India became India, it was also fully surrounded by forest, right? Slowly we changed it into a terrestrial habitat compared to a forest habitat, right? So how it happened? So it took time. So succession is a process which starts in an area where there are no living organism. So now if you go to a mountain top, so there is no one except for the rocks and trees. Yes. So how did the succession happen? So out of nowhere, how did a tree arise? So if someone has planted, yes, fine. How out of nowhere a tree has arose? Yes, how out of nowhere a cat can be present there? There has to be a mother cat, right? So according to the knowledge of Virchow, so we understood that a cell comes from a pre-existing cell. Then what is this process of succession? So the process starts in an area where no living organisms are there. So what will start and who will start life there? So areas where no living organisms ever existed, the succession starts with a barren rock. So when I say succession, slowly it's going to become into a fully exploited place, but initially what was there was a bare rock. So no living organism existed. So from a bare rock, if life starts, so that is called as primary succession. Okay. So area where all living organisms who were existing were lost, that is called as secondary succession. For example, let's take an island, okay. So people were living there, but because of flood, all the lives were washed out. Now if life has to start there, that is called as secondary succession, because once life has already existed in that place, in that community, in that ecosystem. Alright? Okay, so example of primary succession is a newly cooled lava, a bare rock, newly created pond or a reservoir. So all these can be your primary succession. So establishment of a new biotic community is slow because primary succession takes time. For example, when you are building a building for the first time and when you are altering the building, there are two different processes, right? So when you are starting the building from scratch, From the foundation, it takes time. But after you are done building your house, if you just want to change one room, if you just want to change this wall, then it is pretty easy. It does not take as much time as you took to build the entire building, right? So the primary process always takes time. Initially, for you to build your basics, it takes time. Now you guys are just revising along with me, right? So the first time when you started preparing for NEET, it took a lot of time for you to comprehend everything. But now you have an idea of this entire chapter. You're just recollecting along with me. So the base always takes a long time than the upper coating. So your primary succession is the base, whereas that's why your primary succession, that is establishment of new biotic community, is very, very slow. Okay, so before the soil community is getting established, there has to be soil. Only if there is soil, then the process of life begins, right? So depending on the climatic condition, it takes several years, 100 to 1000 years to produce fertile soil on a barren rock. So only when you have a fertile soil, your plant starts germinating, right? So even if you have a bare rock, the bare rock to have a fertile soil, it takes hundreds and thousands of years, okay? So Hina, hello, hi. Oh, I am really sorry. So I don't know about the Hindi channel, okay? Okay, so I don't know why there is no class, why there are no classes today, but I have no clue about the Hindi medium channel. So I don't know, but I will ask them to get back to you, okay? Yes? Fine. And anyways, thank you so much for joining my lecture today. So please do like, share and subscribe. Alright? Yes. So it's already 3:46. Okay, so I will make it quick. So the secondary succession begins in a area where the natural biotic communities have been destroyed, right? So I told you what is a secondary succession. An example is an abundant farmland, burned or cut forest, and the lands being flooded. So people have lost their life, and again a new set of community forms. So this is called as a secondary succession, and this does not take much time. So since some soil and sediment are already present from the primary succession, your secondary succession does not take much time. Okay, so description of an ecological succession focus on the changes in vegetation. Ecological succession, so when I say primary succession, initially you had grasses, then you had shrubs, then you had trees, right? So they focus on the change in vegetation, which in turn affects the food and shelter of various type of animal. All type of animals do not feed on trees, right? So each animal, depending upon their need, their situation, they have their own type of vegetation. So when your vegetation changes, the food and shelter for various types of animals also changes. So as succession proceeds, the number and types of animals and decomposers also keep changing. So as your ecological succession happens, the number and types of animals and your decomposers, they also change. Okay, is this much clear? Yes. So I will stop right here. So in the next class, I will continue with the succession in plants, because if I start succession in plants, again it will take time. So I will start it in the next class. So next class, I will do nutrient cycling and ecosystem service as well. So this entire chapter will be done. Okay, so if you understood this concept of ecological succession, ecological pyramid genuinely, so please do like, share and subscribe. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be talking about your body fluids and circulation. So make sure you join. That is also an important topic under your human physiology. So tomorrow 3 p.m. and regarding your mentee, I will let you know. Okay, yes, and yes, Satyendra, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. It was great interacting with you. So I will get back to you tomorrow. So until then, take care and bye-bye.